What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Celtics Talk Weekly. I am your host, Rob. I'm with my co-host, Justin Lowe and Ian Angelo, and we are super excited to bring you guys another. This is our 9th episode of season 2. So I think we're up to 15. Is this our 15th episode? Something like that. I think we just total. We're at 15 episodes. 15. So that's crazy. I say it every episode. I'm going to say it again. Go follow us on social media at Celtics Talk Weekly. Also, we have a quick little announcement to make. If you want to start up a podcast, use Buzzsprout. I'm going to simplify it a little bit more. Buzzsprout's great. It's super easy. We use it here at Celtics Talk Weekly. You can upload it to all your favorite directories, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere. So it's super great. Use the link in our bio or on our Instagram bio to sign up, and on your second paid invoice, you receive $25 to Amazon. Do it. You get $25 to Amazon. And if you've got a podcast you want to start talking about, it's a great opportunity to do so. We got a great episode, like we said. Today was media day. A lot to talk about. A lot of good, some bad. Training camp starts up tomorrow. Guys, what's our keys to training camp? I know, Justin, we talked about this a little bit last episode, but what would you guys say are the keys?
I'm just really excited. First and foremost, I just want to let people know who are listening or watching, we're really grateful for you guys. We're nearing 1,000 followers, which we're super grateful for. When Rob started this up, he had asked me to join, and then I came along, and then Ian not too long after. So we appreciate that. But getting back on topic, sorry, Rob, I just had to say.
Oh wait, go buy the merch too.
Oh yeah, the merch. We're wearing the merch. Yeah. Ian doesn't have his on, but that's okay.
I haven't gotten mine in yet. I haven't gotten mine in yet. It hasn't
go buy the merch.
It's actually. I'm not just saying this because we're it's our brand, but it's really comfortable. It's very comfortable. But yeah, we really want to thank you. But to get back on topic, I'm really excited that everyone's healthy, guys. We touch base on the health a lot because unfortunately, Ime Udoka has COVID. I'm sure COVID, whether you're vaccinated or not, whatever, will affect the season some way, shape, or form. But other than COVID relations, this team is pretty healthy. I'm really looking forward to see Jaylen Brown. We've seen him in all these videos of him working out with other NBA players. We saw him go to Vegas with the Celtics Summer League team. So I'm really excited to see how Jaylen Brown is. Just go in healthy, come out healthy.
For sure.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, Justin, that we really desperately need to be healthy after what we watched last season. I honestly want to see what Ime Udoka does and how he puts together his starting lineups and how he's going to determine the rotations. Yeah, sure. I feel like it's going to be really important to see how well this team gels because we know last year we had all the really young guys, and now we're coming into this year where we have a lot more veteran presence, and I feel like that'll be a really good improvement to the Celtics this year.
So, we're going to touch up on Ime. We have a lot to talk about Ime, but because Ian brought up a really good point. I'm really excited to see what direction Ime goes in. Mm-hmm. Like he said, our core rotational guys really aren't that young anymore. Brown and Tatum are the two young guys still in the core rotation. Robert Williams too. You're going to see some Peyton Pritchard. You're going to see some Aaron Nesmith later on in the season, I think. We're going to kick off the year. You're going to see a lot of Josh Richardson. You're going to see a lot of Al Horford, Dennis Schroeder. I think you might see a little bit of Jabari Parker sprinkled into there, I think, if you can make the roster. So that will be good. And something I'm super excited about, right? And we're going to talk about our takeaways after this, but I'm so happy with everyone is focused, right? You hear their manner as they're being their questions, and they're not interested in answering these questions. They really don't care. They just want to get to business. Schroeder mentioned it, Horford mentioned it, and Richardson mentioned it. We're just ready to work. We're just trying to get out there and go to work.
Yeah, well, my take is I listened to Al Horford's interviews. Believe it or not, he was the one player out of all of them where I was clickbaited because I just really want to see Al Horford back in Boston. I'm super excited. And, he's all day, he's been telling his teammates, I can't wait for tomorrow, which is the first day of practice. I can't wait for tomorrow. I can't wait for tomorrow. I can't wait for tomorrow. That's super important. Seeing these veteran guys who have been here, who have been in different, different areas, and they understand. Just for them to be so excited. And then it's also really, cool to see both Cantor and Horford really excited to be back here, right?
Yeah.
Because when they were both here, yeah, we were pretty good. We went to the Eastern Conference Finals with both of them on our team. It didn't end well with either of them. There was complications in the bubble when we had Enes Kanter, maybe not surrounding these two players, but, there were complications. Then the whole Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward situation, Al Horford was around for that. So it's really relieving that those two guys come back and they're excited to get things going. And it was also really cool to see Dennis Schroeder kind of get recruited by Daniel Tice, even though Daniel Tice was not on the team at the time.
Dude, do you know what's something I noticed as you talk about Al Horford, and one takeaway I got is it did not sound or appear that Al Horford ever wanted to leave.
Yeah.
It kind of sounded like, because you mentioned Schroeder. Horford recruited Schroeder to Boston as well. He got a phone call. Schroeder got a phone call from Horford. So it kind of is almost like Al never really wanted out. And he requested to come back to Boston. Also, he talked to the Thunder how he wanted to come back to the Boston Celtics, and that's how the Kemba Walker. That's how the Kemba Walker deal happened.
And for $109 million, Al Horford knew. No offense to Al Horford, I don't know if he was worth $109 million.
No.
But I think he knew that he was never going to get an opportunity like this again as his career is getting older. So obviously he jumped on that, right? And at the time the Sixers were good. They were, competing for a championship. So he went in and he saw Embiid, he saw Simmons, who was actually really good at the time. He saw Tobias Harris, he saw all those guys. And how do you pass up that money? And it's very evident that he's very extremely happy and grateful to be back here in Beantown.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And you know what was the funniest thing that I saw about Al Horford when he was talking about Jaylen Brown, and he was like, they were walking in together and they're like, hey, Al, what's this? What season is this? And he's like, 15. And he's like, Jaylen, what season? And it's like, this is season 6. Like,
and he's
it's insane to think that when he was here, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they were the rookies. They were the young guys that, they were potentially the future, but no, we didn't know that yet because at the time we had Kyrie and Hayward, and Al was supposed to be the superstar, and now he's back and he can now fill in a role where he can now be a mentor to other guys like Robert Williams. He can be a mentor.
That's actually it's funny that you make that point, because if you follow me on Instagram, I actually posted something about that. Robert Williams talked about, because there's a lot of conversation who's going to start. You got 3 starting worthy centers, in Cantor, Horford, and Williams. But Williams came out and he said, he was saying, this is the quote, I was talking to Al and EK. They are some of the biggest influences on my life and this game. So he really, really, it sounds like even our future star big man is loving the fact that Horford and Cantor are back. So it's like, what's not to love?
And we saw, if you guys had watched the Enes Kanter interview, Kanter described it best. He said, we're like, Mark D'Amico, who's a fantastic reporter, by the way, big fan. He asked him, why did you want to come to Boston even though Boston had such depth at center? And he said, well, I kind of look at the situation as a great opportunity. And if you look at all 3 of the centers, we're kind of like the Power Rangers in a way, where each Power Ranger has its own specialty, right? And that's what makes the team so good, right? And it's Kanter. What's he good at? He's good at scoring down low and grabbing rebounds, being physical. Robert Williams, obviously the more defensive-minded out of the 3. Al Horford can stretch the floor, play inside and out. And those 3 guys give you a little bit of everything. And when you put that all together, and as Kanter said, we're like, it's similar to a Power Rangers type effect. And I'm 100% agree. I know Kanter is kind of a liability on the defensive end. He's not quick on his feet. But great additions by Brad Stevens at center this year. I think this is our best center depth we've had in a while. And even Bruno Fernando, he's a young guy. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely going to be important that everyone is kind of familiar with each other too, in a way, because especially when Al is familiar with Dennis Schroeder from Atlanta, Josh Richardson from Philly,
Philly, yeah.
and now
Emi too.
and Ime Udoka as well from Philly. Peyton Pritchard knows Ime Udoka from Portland, and obviously he's been with the Celtics. And Rob is used to having Kanter and Horford there. So honestly, the fact that all of them already are, it seems like a close-knit community at this point.
So,
and just to see how well they do over the course of the year is going to be great to see.
So that's something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. They make an amazing point, Ian, is that chemistry last season was a problem. Whether we want to say it was or wasn't, it was. You got to look at it. Two of our core players in Pritchard and Neesmith, right? They were rotational players last year. Were rookies with no summer league, with really no training camp. So that was tough to build chemistry, and with guys in and out of the lineup, you can never catch a groove. So I'm really excited. Like Justin said, we're all really healthy coming into training camp, coming into preseason. So super like positive outlook there. But something else I want to come in and start talking about, right, is Marcus Smart. Today he was asked, what is it like coming into that now point guard role? And Smart said, I've always been a point guard, so it's nice. I want to know what you guys think about. It kind of sounds like Marcus Smart has let starting point guard spot locked. What do you guys think about that?
I'm okay with it. He, I think it's going to humble him a little bit. Not saying he's, has a super big ego, but I think it's going to his game's going to be more fluent, right? I think he is a good playmaker. I do think he turns the ball over a little bit too much, but he had the second or the most assists per 36 minutes last year, I think he was saying. I think he's very capable of it, and I'm really excited because media day is one of those types of days where you really kind of sit here and you appreciate, what these guys have done for the team. Like Al Horford, like you said, Ian, Al Horford sat there and said, wow, Jaylen Brown, you're in your 6th year. You know what I mean? And we sit here for Smart, and he's almost played a decade in the NBA. He's played 8 years. This is, I believe, his 8th year in the NBA. I think he's definitely capable for that starting point guard role, and his playmaking is going to make Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum's game come so much more fluently. That's just my opinion. That's how I view it. What do you think about it, Ian?
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of excited because if you remember, I can't remember exactly what the stat was, but there was a time where Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown had like the most passing to another player, and then Jaylen had the most buckets off of a pass from Marcus Smart. It was a stat like that. And honestly, if Marcus is comfortable in this role, I feel like it'll help the Celtics a lot because, we've had the limbo at point guard over the last 5 years or so. So the fact that Marcus, and I mean, same thing with Marcus, he's kind of been just as much as in limbo. He's starting, he's off the bench, So honestly, the fact that he now has like a somewhat set role, I feel like it will be good for Marcus and then in turn be good for the Celtics.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I don't love it. Smart has a history of having a trigger finger. He likes to shoot. When he's hot, I love it. When he's not, I hate it. Something I do like is he brings a very fast-paced, intense pace to the game, and that's something that's really important for a point guard is they kind of set the pace of the game. So I think that's a positive. I think he needs to work on his shot selection, but I do think he's a great passer. I think he's a great facilitator. He is a big guard, so he could present some mismatches. Hopefully, plays phenomenal defense. I don't hate it. It's a question mark. You could look at it positive. Something that I'm super now. Justin actually texted me this and said, go to this part of this. Emi, it was Emi, right? Yeah, go to Emi's interview. Go to like 5 minutes or whatever, and watch that. I really want to talk about it. It pretty much, to sum it up, we were talking about Al Horford, talking about his unselfish play. Now, there's a couple points I want to talk about. First point he talked about was how in Philly Emi was asked, we saw Horford kind of play that 4 in Philly. He struggled a little bit. Where do you see Al playing? He didn't really tell us where Al was playing, but something he said that he loved that Al did in Philly was taking advantage of mismatches. So do you think this maybe could be Amy hinting at a starting lineup that presents Al Horford and Robert Williams?
I do. I think it means exactly what it means, where it depends on the matchup. Where, remember a few episodes ago, we were talking about who starts and who doesn't, and that turned out. And Rob thinks that turned out to be a disaster. I think it was funny, and then we tried it the next day, and Ian wasn't there, and it was even better.
Wow.
But in all seriousness, though, like, it really does depend on the matchup. Like, if you're gonna play, Celtics are a fairly large team this year, so if you're gonna play a bigger team like a Milwaukee Bucks or Philadelphia 76ers, maybe you run the double big man, you shift Tatum over at the 3, Brown to the 2, and Smart to the 1. And that's what a lineup you roll with. Or maybe if you're playing a smaller team and maybe a less contending team like a, say, Cleveland Cavaliers or, someone in that range, you might play a smaller lineup. And I think that's something the Celtics really have this year is they can go big, they can go small, they can go fast pace, they can go slower pace. So that's something that Ime Udoka is really going to have to figure out. And that's, Rob, going back to that, you talking about Marcus Smart, this is what makes training camp and preseason so valuable. You get to see these lineups. We're going to see lineups that we don't want to see, but that's just Ime Udoka trying to figure out what he has and what works with what. You know what I mean? What do you think, Ian?
Yeah, we've been talking, like you say, we've been talking about potential matchups, and the starting lineup is going to depend on the matchup, and that's honestly probably what Ime Udoka was saying. He probably watches our podcast, and if he does, that would be great. But honestly, I think he does. But anyway.
That got Rob with the big smile. That got Rob with the fat smile.
But yeah, honestly, I completely agree with you, Justin. It's going to depend on the matchup, and it's going to depend on, we've seen in the past how, like, I know we're talking about like the most extreme, but we're talking about like what Joel Embiid did to Robert Williams last year. Maybe Al Horford does a little better defending Joel Embiid than Robert Williams does, so maybe Al Horford will, start at the 4 and they'll have him in there. Yeah. But at the same time, it's going to depend on the matchup.
Well, that was a big reason why Philly got him, was because he was Embiid.
Exactly, he was the Embiid stopper.
It's kind of a funny situation because I played basketball back in high school, and my junior season we had 3 big men. Me being one of them, who we kind of wrote. It was a rotational. Obviously, high school basketball, it's not the NBA, right? But the concept of I remember late down in stretches, I was offensively more talented than the other people or whatever, but defensively they were better. So on the defense side of the ball, they would be in, and then come offense, we would see, I would check in. So I'm almost wondering if maybe that's what we might see in Boston is, Horford offensively brings a spacing, shooting element that, Rob Will doesn't really bring. But, also we could completely see Al Horford, we could see that. I think, I love Robert Williams, and I said, he's the key to the Boston Celtics future, being a member of that big 3 with Brown and Tatum. But I do think that there's a chance Al Horford, Ime was saying Horford, he's seen him in the gym. He looks faster, in better shape than he did in Philly 2 years ago. So there's a chance, I think, that Al Horford comes in and takes that starting spot just from being like, the Al Horford we knew 3 years ago.
Yeah, we also have to think, though. Yeah, but we also have to think about, I know we don't like to talk about this, and we talk about it all the time, but Robert Williams' durability. Yeah. If he's out, I know we hate talking about it, but if he's out, we have Al Horford.
Do you know what I love, though? You know what I love? I absolutely love. So if Tice... So I guess we had Thompson, or after the deadline, right? If Thompson or Williams was out, who was our backup center? Luke Cornett. It was Luke Cornett.
No, it was or Taco. Taco played significant minutes.
But guess what? Now if Williams or Horford needs to miss a game, we have Enes Kanter. And that's Fernando. Yeah, but Cantor's Cantor played. We've seen he had a 20-30, I believe, 20-30 game last year.
Yeah, I think a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so Cantor as your third string big man, that's something that you got to look at. We got depth. Not only
I
that,
know
like
we went
Peyton
from having almost none to having all of the depth.
Pritchard is your third string point guard now, right? Like we have depth. I mean, Romeo Langford's now your third. Like we have true depth.
Just saying, little pointless fact, but I think I saw Romeo Langford creeping in the background. I think he legitimately switched to number 9.
To 9, he did. Yeah, he's now number 9.
Yeah. I thought it was just like preseason.
Who was wearing number 9 before?
Brad Wanamaker and who was the other one?
Rondo.
Yeah, but no, recently though.
Last year, because why did he just change it this year?
Oh wait, no, didn't oh man,
this is gonna bug me if we don't figure
it. It wasn't Tremont. It wasn't Edwards.
It wasn't Jabari Parker, was it?
No, Parker's 28 or 20.
It's gonna be so obvious.
You know what it might have been? It might have been the NBA. Because I know they did the same thing with LeBron. It might be a year before you can actually change your number for jersey stuff. I don't know. But obviously Langford's not a high jersey profile player like LeBron, but that could be it. But something I also want to talk about.
We're definitely going to get memed after this because it's going to be so obvious after the episode.
I'm going to find
it up. No, wait, it's not Tristan Thompson. I don't know.
Nobody wore it last year.
Yeah, okay. No, we're fine. All right, so
Wanamaker was the last person to wear it before.
Another topic I want to touch on is about Ime Udoka. He was asked what the keys, for next season are, and something he said, which I thought was, and I heard Josh Richardson talk about it too. His quote: he said, "People are relying on them, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, to get their shots." Right, kind of implying that he talked a lot about one-on-one iso ball. He doesn't want to take that away from them, right? Because that's their strength. But he wants to implement a new strength where they can get guys like Richardson, like Schroeder, like Smart, like Nesmith, like Horford going.
Well, yeah, and that really makes sense because if that wasn't the goal of this season, what was the whole point of going out and getting those players that we got last season?
Exactly.
Celtics kind of had no choice. I hate to say it. No offense to the bench players, but we didn't really have depth. We had no depth. We were relying on rookies and second and third year players. This year it's different. We have established veterans. We have an Al Horford, an Enes Kanter, a Josh Richardson who can legitimately play basketball and they know the game, right? And I think that was a huge thing.
Yeah. We talk about depth. We also have Juan Hernan Gomez. We really are a deep team this year. And I'm so excited. We were talking about in our group chat before the thing started how big this year could be between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But Jason Tatum in particular, what do we think his expectations are? I know he was asked by a reporter, obviously your number one, that's what she said, obviously your number one, goal is bring a championship to Boston, but everyone has their individual goals. So what should Jason Tatum's individual goals be?
Make a case so that he's actually all NBA team this year. I mean, I don't know what else you can say outside of MVP, or at least in the running for MVP.
Well, I kind of have
you can always say all-star and stuff like that, but
I have an abstract or a different goal. I think I don't even think Jason Tatum would think of this one. I want to see 6 assists per game. Right? I want to see 26, 7, and 6. That's what I want to see.
Go ahead.
And from Jaylen Brown, I want to see 24, 6, and 4, or 24, 6, and 5. That's what I want to see.
You want to see more playmaking?
Yeah, I want to see them. My biggest knock on the two kids last year were they were getting buckets, but they were ISO. It was a lot of one-on-one. Justin and I, before Ian, you came along, we were doing post-game shows, which are returning this year. So stay tuned to that. But something we talked about a lot was Brown and Tatum are scoring 30, but they got to figure out how to score 30 in the flow. Right? Because there's going to be a time where they get 2 guys on them. So they have to. And now that we have guys like Josh Richardson's a guy that can get you 20 points if he needs to. He can. Same with Schroeder. Schroeder can get you 20. Smart, he can get you 20. Horford can get you 20. Horford can get. Pritchard can get you 15. Nesmith can get you 15. Williams can get you 15. So they have the guys around them. Right? They have the guys around them. So it's time for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to take the step. It's no more of this, they're young. Like, they don't have that excuse anymore. Jaylen Brown's entering his 6th year. Tatum's in his 5th year. It's time to step up, and it's time to be a playmaker, and you got to lead this team.
And that's how you're going to win the championship, right? You're not going to win championships playing a one-on-one.
No.
That's, look at that LeBron James team back in 2018. It was only LeBron James. If it was only Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown again, it's not going to get the job done. It didn't get the job done last year. It's not going to do it this year. You have the depth. Use the depth. That's my big thing.
Definitely. And I'm really excited because now they have guys that can actually create their own shot and they can actually pass the ball as well. We got Dennis Schroeder. We got Josh Richardson. It's going to be so exciting to see, that if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to become the playmakers that we want, we finally have guys that can actually make the buckets.
So, do you know also something I want to touch on, right, in terms of duos in NBA? So, right now the Boston Celtics are in a good spot because everyone's healthy. There's not a lot of COVID-19 drama. There's a little bit, but not a lot. Let's take a look around the Eastern Conference, like the Philadelphia 76ers, currently imploding. Right, the Brooklyn Nets, who their third best player is refusing to cooperate. Right, so the Celtics now have a chance to jump these guys. Right, like 2 seed, 3 seed, like hit the ground running. So if Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum can figure this thing out right quick, like through training camp, you see it. Like we could just take off. I think.
Yeah. I think this year is going to be a lot different, and we said this. I don't know if we said this in the episode yet, but the energy just feels so much different. Yeah. Like from the coaching to the players to the fans, like the energy is just so different. Like I don't remember media day last year. I'm sorry, I don't. No, I know, it was very different. COVID was much more strict. Coming off two months from the bubble, but this media day felt like we're doing a post-game show and the Celtics won. Like we all came on here. We were so excited to shoot this episode. Everything went well during media day. We heard everything we needed, everything we wanted. The boys are ready to work.
Yeah, and this is the first time since Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have become like the duo that we wanted them to be. This is the first time it feels like in a long time where it's actually their team. Like they're finally saying, this is Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's team, and the rest of us are here to help them and come together and win a championship.
That's a great point. You are correct. Like people were like understood. Like we are here to play behind Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, right? Yeah. Like there's no confusion. Everyone knows it's their team, and we're here to help them win a championship. So I'm so excited. I can't explain how well I think we're going to do this season. I do think it might be a little bumpy to start it off. There's a chance. New coach, new system, But like you said before, a lot of these guys have played with each other. So there's always a chance that that's not presented. Richardson was talking about how he loved playing. He's done open runs so far with a couple of these guys, and he can't wait to get on the court. That's what he said. He can't wait. So that's awesome. But we do have to touch on a touchy subject. We're going to keep it as least controversial as possible. But it was reported today that Josh Richardson is not vaccinated, right? We're just going to go strictly based off NBA rules, what we're talking about. If this is the case, he decides his choice to stay unvaccinated, that will make him ineligible to play in any game in New York, California, or Canada or Toronto. So the Celtics opening up, right, in New York. So it's definitely something we should talk about. It's going to be a conversation to talk about before the season starts. Obviously, it's his decision. But as a Celtics fan, as a Celtics guy, someone that covers the Celtics, I can only hope he gets vaccinated just to avoid the chance of a series against the Brooklyn Nets without Josh Richardson.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is exactly what Marcus Smart said today. I thought he worded it so perfectly. I respect anybody's personal decision, whether it's pro or against it. You do what you need to do to what you believe keeps yourself and people around you safe. You do what you need to do. I hope that the players do what they need to do in order to play, whether that means get vaccinated, get an exemption, or get situated with however other ways they can get situated. That's what I hope happens.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm forcing Richardson to get it. I'm not going to say I'm going to be mad at Richardson for getting it or not getting it.
But I'd be disappointed if he doesn't get it. I'd be honest. You'd be disappointed. You'd be like, oh, dang, we don't have him on certain road games. That sucks.
Oh, no, that does suck. But what I'm saying is, like, I'm not going to hate the guy for it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and trash him for it. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a little upset that, like, in the sense of, oh, I wish he was playing. But I'm not going to say, oh, I hate this guy for making that decision. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
But I want things to work out, whether that means you get vaccinated, whether that means you don't get vaccinated, you get an exemption or whatever, you can work out with the league. I just want guys 1 through 15 healthy and ready to go, whether that's by opening night or by at least Christmas. We get situated.
We understand the speculation, right? We're not here to tell you to get it. What we're here just to say is that, listen, there are rules, regulations, like blah, blah, this season that there haven't been. And if we're serious about contending, there are certain things that, we got to do.
People need to abide to.
Yeah, so we can get that done. Because I'm just trying to see my Boston Celtics win some basketball games. And Josh Richardson is a key to that. And so I hope he knows that.
Whether you like it or not, I'm going back to the Garden. I'm excited.
TD
Garden, like, it's back open. It's 100% capacity. Either get vaccinated. If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's fine. Just produce a negative test and get in the TD Garden.
Yep.
I can't wait. I'm going in for both preseason games. I know it's preseason, but same expectation. We're going after a championship, new team. Finally 100% capacity, other than that one playoff game. I'm excited. I want that place to be rocking.
I can't wait. I'm going back to my home, Section 10. I'm going to get my Lucky's chicken. I cannot wait. Oh, my gosh. I can't wait to get back in those seats.
This season's going to be so much fun, man.
Celtics Talk Weekly might be going to a couple games together.
Yeah, a couple. So stay tuned for that.
Maybe some live coverage from the TD Garden. We don't know.
Sure. For
hey,
sure.
We might have to record. Hey, we'll see if we can record a pregame show with NBC Sports Boston. They're there.
Hey, I got an inside link to Scal, so we'll see.
Now, I feel like we are like towards the end of the episode, so I just want to make it, this announcement real quick. When we go there and we potentially, maybe cover the Celtics in the TD Garden. Maybe we get that Rob and Grant Williams interview going.
Yeah.
Maybe we get it going. What do you think, Ian?
Hey, I mean, if we can do it, we got to figure out a way to do it.
It's funny because I'm gonna if that day ever comes where I do meet Grant Williams, I'm gonna be like, introduce myself. He's gonna be like, you're that one guy, you're that one kid from that Instagram account, right? I'm like, no, what are you talking about?
No, but 100%, I am that kid. And we're gonna get a nasty text from Rob after this. You guys just had to bring up Grant Williams.
It's a daily thing on the episode. We have to bring up Grant Williams in every conversation.
I just want to say he looks really good. Like
he honestly does. He dropped
15 pounds. He looks good.
I was honestly going to bring that up because, legitimately, he looked really good.
Rob, are you paying attention?
I'm paying attention to the most. All right, but you know what? You're right. I can't disagree. Really good. I can't disagree. No, but you're right.
Again, this is what training camp is, though, guys. Right? Like, we saw Marcus Smart lose a lot of weight a few years ago on Media Day, and we didn't. That could not mean anything. So I'm excited to see even guys like Grant Williams, who I know he's a meme, but
can I just say something real quick? Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
He might have lost 15 pounds, but that doesn't mean he added skill to his basketball.
But that's what I'm saying, though. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I just said. We don't know what to expect. Just because he lost that amount of weight.
As long as he can keep left bench warm and gets hyped for when Jason Tatum hits the three.
I mean, who knows? Maybe now that he dropped some weight, he might become like a PJ Tucker.
All jokes aside, I always say this. All jokes aside, he's still young. He is. He's third year.
Yeah.
So and he was good for us in the bubble. We've always said it. He was a key piece of the bubble run. So you never know. Maybe Grant Williams can come in and do something.
All right, Rob.
I mean, he played more than Romeo Langford has from that draft class.
We'll let Rob off the hook. We'll let Rob off the hook, and we'll move on.
That's something. That's actually a good point. That's something. Romeo Langford. Does he have a spot in the lineup?
I guess we'll see in training camp.
Yeah.
Because I honestly have no idea.
Because from the way it sounds, people are expectations are high for Aaron Nesmith. Let's just say that. They're higher than Pritchard, I think, at this point. People are kind of expecting this guy to come in and be our Duncan Robinson, our guy that gives us a spark off the bench, great shooting, great defense.
See, I don't agree with that Duncan Robinson, and I'm not saying you just said it because I've heard it many times. I don't agree with that. Duncan Robinson, I like him. I don't think he's not as mobile. He's not as good as defensively. He literally admitted that he is not as athletic. Like his movements aren't good, right? Aaron Nesmith is very fluent on both ends. He's very quick. He's very agile. I don't understand that comparison. Other than the shooting, like other than the pure shooting.
I think it's just the shooting. Yeah, I think it's just the shooting.
It has to be the shooting because I honestly really don't. I guess I don't get the comparison. Like I know, like I get it because they're both wings. They both shoot.
Yeah,
known for their shooting. But I feel like Nesmith, at least over last year, he looked like he was being more known as a defender than he was as a shooter.
Well, I think that comes with confidence. So, like we said, Aaron Nesmith was drafted as not as a defender, as a shooter, as a sharpshooter. He shot near 50% in college from beyond the. I think it was 50% from beyond the arc.
52.
Yeah. So this man's just like he's a sniper. Like that, he really has the potential to be one of the best shooters in the league. He went on weak stints where he was shooting the best percentage in the league. So it's all about whether or not he can get in a rhythm, I think. Because last year, Brad had him in and out of the lineup a lot. So this year, I'm interested to see if he can get a consistent 15 minutes a game where he's consistently checking in. He's the third man off the bench behind our backup center in Richardson or Schroeder, right? So that's what I want to see.
Now, a big topic of discussion this episode, at least so far, has been what will our starting lineup look like? Do we see an Aaron Nesmith in the starting lineup at any point this year, other than the fact that maybe somebody gets injured?
I personally don't think this season. I feel like it's going to take another season before we see that. Just because, I don't think Nesmith can't do it. It's just I don't know if it's going to be this year. Just because we don't know exactly what we have. All right,
so
yet.
This is what I'm thinking, right? 2017 was Jaylen Brown's rookie year, right? He averaged
16,
17, yeah.
Yeah.
So he averaged 6 points per game that year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to. I think we could see Nesmith in the starting lineup.
I do too.
I think
it just depends on how he progresses.
Yeah, it depends on the matchup too.
Because I might be overrating him, and I'm a Celtics fan. I'm biased, so there's a good chance I am. But I could legitimately see Aaron Nesmith giving us 11 points per game. Maybe not this season, but next season or the season. And I think there might be some complications because honestly, I look at Aaron Nesmith and I see Josh Richardson. They're kind of identical. They play great defense. They're great shooters, and they can attack the basket if they're identical. So I think there's some complications there, but I think that's a good problem to have where we're like, oh, shoot, we have too much depth. Where can Nesmith get minutes?
It's a great problem to have, right? And I think it also kind of goes back to kind of what we were saying earlier about the centers. It does depend on the matchup. If we're playing a fast-paced team like the Sacramento Kings, maybe you do throw Aaron Nesmith in there because Aaron Nesmith is a very fast up-and-down type player. You can get up and down both ends really quickly. But yeah, Rob, I kind of agree with you. Maybe not this year, but that maybe this. I can definitely see both of your sides. I think he has the potential to be a starter. Maybe not especially Rob, if he touches on your point about being consistent, I think he definitely could get into that starting lineup role.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think Aaron Nesmith. I think he could be one of the guys. It's just so hard to say because, like I said, Richardson is a real piece. He's a real piece. I think he's very undervalued on how good he's going to be for us. So we'll have to wait and see. What's awesome? This is the last podcast episode before the Boston Celtics play a game. So the next podcast episode that will have dropped, the season will have kicked off. So this is the last. This is the last episode of season 2.
Yeah,
this concludes season 2.
Game 1, preseason game 1 is a week from today, which of recording. It's a Monday. So wow, that's awesome.
This is gonna be awesome, man. I'm so happy that Celtics basketball is back.
Yeah, I'm genuinely excited.
I can't wait. First, there's a couple things before we wrap up. There's a couple things I'm excited for. So, like Justin said, I wanted to start this up at the start of last season, right? December of Christmas, but I couldn't really like get the equipment, or I didn't have the motivation, honestly. So I waited until April, and we sucked. So every time I brought Justin on, thank God I had someone to complain about the Boston Celtics with, because it was literally, and we were covering them when they like were actually like bad.
I don't think we had. I think we only had one. We only had, out of our like 6 or 7 post game shows, we only had one win.
One win,
and it was against the Magic.
It was literally like, it was awful. Like, it got to a point where my friends were texting me like, "Robbie, you looked like sad in that post game show," and I was like, I was sad. Like, it was awful.
It was
I'm just
demoralizing.
so excited. First of all, we get a full season to cover the Boston Celtics. So much potential to grow. Second of all, we might be able to cover a good Boston Celtics team. Thank you. Like, yes, please. I would love that.
And Rob, I just want to like just mention it. Like, do you remember the first episode you invited me on? Yeah. How long did we talk? I think we talked for a good legitimate like 3 hours. Like, between the start of that podcast, the second we finished it, I think we went on for like 2 hours and just talked. Like, talk.
Oh, for sure.
We clicked right away. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, and even when we brought on Ian, I feel like once Ian joined, we were just like, all right, Ian, like, we threw him in. We're like, boom, this is what you gotta do, and then Ian just picked up on it. Also, like, post game shows, you guys, we haven't announced it yet. We got someone coming in, a new guy for the post game shows that you guys are gonna like. So this season's gonna be awesome. I think we're gonna cover the Celtics. I think by the end of the season, we'll be the biggest Celtics page on the internet.
We're gonna try. We're gonna definitely try to be. We're super excited. We have giveaway ideas. We have content ideas. We want to be more active on our YouTube. We got to get Ian's ass on the TikTok, doing some Renegade and stuff like that. But no, really, I think it's going to be a genuinely fun season. We have some trips planned. Hopefully, we can get out and cover the game in person. So we have a lot of good, fun things, not only content-wise, on and off camera. We're super excited for.
You might see the Celtics Talk Weekly with those media passes.
Maybe.
Hey, I mean, if we get big enough, I mean, we should definitely get that media pass. We could be right next to Abby Chin and the interview room.
I definitely
loves Abby Chin.
Chill, bro. Jesus Christ, dude. No, I love her work ethic. She is great. She is good at her job.
Oh, I'm keeping that one in. All right, everyone. This concludes season 2 of the Celtics Talk Weekly podcast. We've had a lot of fun doing season 2. Can't wait for season 3. Start of a new season. Quite literally, like, podcast and Boston Celtics NBA season starts up. So we got a lot to look forward to. This has been Rob. I'm Justin. Ian. Go Celtics.